Hello everyone, welcome live to 3YTV tonight's broadcast of the GTR Simulator Superspeedway series here at the iRacing Superspeedway. It is going to be one heck of a race here tonight. Round number 8 of the GTR Simulator Superspeedway series on 3YTV here in the National Sim Racing Association. Tonight we have the Heritage Ways Farms 165 here at iRacing Superspeedway. Not the first time we've been to iRacing Superspeedway this season. Definitely going to be an interesting one. I'm Peter Short, and joining me in the booth here tonight for the flag-to-flag coverage here on the channel, as you see, I think that was JT Poole going backwards out of pit lane, is going to be Mitchell Adams. Mitchell, here we are, iRacing Superspeedway, no restrictor plates here tonight on any of these trucks. It's going to be wild if the past few races at iRacing Superspeedway have anything to say about what we're going to see tonight.
Yeah, we've seen some really intense, hard racing here in this GTR Simulator Superspeedway series, and I'm really excited to see what all these guys can do when we take the restrictor plates off, and hopefully we can see a lot of green flag laps here and have a good race as qualifying, getting ready to begin, waiting for some drivers to get out on track. But Peter, I'm really excited to watch this one.
Absolutely. We're already over into the qualifying session brought to you by Bamauto. Make sure you check out Bamauto. There's a link in the description here tonight. Let's see if we can check out one of these drivers working their way out onto the racetrack. And it is a driver who has been lightning quick here on 3YTV over the past couple of weeks. Shane Terrian in the number 83 machine was very quick this past Monday night on the channel as well. Just now coming up on to the banking on the backstretch. JT Poole, the number 26 machine up there. Jeffrey Vickery just now coming out onto the racetrack. John Canizzaro's in the field here tonight. Mitchell, Andrew Hillman, of course. There's Andrew. Going to be really interesting to see all these drivers out there on the racetrack. Of course, no restrictor plates. There's Garrett Gleason in the number 7. I'm expecting it to be a really, really exciting race all the way from the drop of the green flag all the way to the end, because we have not really seen any patience out of these drivers this season at all.
Yeah, I really think these drivers have all been aggressive from the drop of the very first green flag all the way to the end, and I think this is a track where that's definitely going to hopefully create some great racing, a lot of side-by-side, and this is a track that you can go 4 or 5 wide at least, so definitely I think that this track is going to play well with the aggression we've seen out of these drivers. As you're looking at Garrett Gleason there out on his qualifying lap, kind of running a little higher up on the track like we expect a lot of these guys to do. But with the race, the runs here at iRacing Superspeedway are just gigantic, and there's a lot of room to go. So guys may not be, or they may be able to make more moves than they have at other tracks because there's a lot more room to go. So I think the patience we haven't really seen a ton of from some drivers in the field, this track really plays into that because there's a lot of different opportunities to make moves because it's so wide. As looking now at the 52, he's out on, that's William Kirwan, who I believe might be out on his flying lap down there on the yellow line. Is right now in the qualifying order, Stephen Ford is currently atop the board, but I don't think anybody's put both laps in, so still kind of waiting to see how that shakes out. Is now we're still looking at that Stephen Ford in the 14, who just got knocked off the top of the board by Shane Ledoux in the 12. There is Shane Ledoux we're looking at now. So drivers still kind of going around trying to put their...
All right, folks, we apologize for that. YouTube has been a little bit finicky here tonight. It took us a while to get a great connection. So we are back. It seems like Nicole Weghurst is saying that hers is having issues. Hers is having issues. I don't know if it's something to do with YouTube or what, but we'll continue to watch. As I mean, my numbers are really fluctuating here. It doesn't appear to be on my end. I did all the things I needed to prior to the stream here tonight, so something I'll be keeping an eye on, so do apologize for that. But here we are with just about, 0 seconds left. Kyle Lewis in the number 18 machine. We just saw him right there for a split second. Is going to be walking away with the Bamauto Pole Award here tonight. Let's see if we can bring up tonight's starting lineup for all of you here. Bam Auto Pole Award goes to Kyle Lewis in his number 18 machine. Andrew Himmelman will be starting on the outside of row number 1. There is Kyle Lewis out there on the racetrack. There's been a lot of people talking about Kyle Lewis and the way that he has really found a groove in that number 18 truck over the last couple of weeks. So keep our eyes on him here tonight. John Doble, Stephen Ford on row number 2. Garrett Gleason, and Colin Ullery on row number 3. Jeffrey Vickery, JT Poole, row number 4. Shane Ledoux and Evan Gilbert rounding out your top 10 there, Mitchell.
Yeah, John Canizaro will start from the 11th position with Stephen Doziak Jr. to his outside. William Kirwan starts 13th. Shane Terrian will be in 14th. Robert Kenny rolls off from 15th with Dalton Hayes in the 47 to his outside. Nathan Maurer will start 17th with his teammate Travis White in the 18th position. Mike Tellier will be 19th. Doug Neal 20th. And rounding out the field are Matthew Rodriguez and Zach Howell.
So 22 trucks out here tonight, just waiting for the last couple of those trucks to present their cars as we will start to get these things rolling for you all here on 3Y TV here tonight. Folks, let us know how that connection is. Sounds like Stephen Doziak saying it's better now. Dana Himmelman saying better since you came back. Kyle Lewis saying hell yeah, picking up a pole here tonight. Brought to you by Bam Auto. And Tana Himmelman saying let's go, Andrew. Great qualifying here tonight, starting on the front row. I think the big storyline entering into tonight is the levels of regression that we have seen over the last couple of weeks here in the National Sim Racing Association GTR Simulator Superspeedway Series. It has been very, very aggressive for most of these drivers. And these drivers really are having to maybe play it a little bit safe tonight if they want to see the checkered flag with only 22 trucks in the field. Of course, not finding Chris Darling in the field here tonight. Recently had a child. Well, he didn't give birth to his child, but his wife did. So just want to give a shout out to Chris Darling here under the first pace lap here tonight. And hopefully, unlike Monza Oval a couple of weeks back, hopefully no walls jump out to get any of these drivers. I think these walls are smooth there, Mitchell.
Yeah, no walls really sticking out of random places other than the pit entrance wall. So hopefully these guys should be clear from that kind of incidents. It is a very big track, so they have a lot of room to go to avoid that outside walls we get a look at down the back straightaway. But you talked about your pole sitter here, Kyle Lewis in the 18. I agree, there's been a lot of improvement from that driver, and we've seen him as this season goes on get closer and closer to the front. He's quickly becoming one of the guys we frequently talk about, but he's got a lot of guys to contend with up front. A lot of these drivers get up here and have a good races. The iRacing pace car is in turns 3 and 4, so we're about to go green here at iRacing Superspeedway.
Yeah, you got a great look at the field as they go by that camera right there, buried underneath turn number 4. Here comes the iRacing pace car down the front stretch, waiting to see the green flag. There goes the pace car. Race in the hands of Kyle Lewis here tonight. Just checking that YouTube connection. All things good as of right now. Kyle Lewis is on the loud pedal. We are green, green, green here at iRacing Superspeedway in the GTR Simulator Superspeedway Series. Kyle Lewis and Andrew Himmelman side by side as they go towards turn number 1. John Doble in that number 3 Diablo machine tucked up behind Kyle Lewis. He's going to try and get around Andrew Himmelman. That high line definitely not formed up here yet, Mitchell, as that inside line, you see Jeffrey Vickery, the 21 machine, starting to move his way now up into third.
Yeah, and I think usually at iRacing Superspeedway, we see that outside line kind of struggle for a lap or two after the restarts. I say that, a big run coming from Andrew Himmelman being pushed by his teammate Colin Ullery up on that high line, but yeah, they got formed up once again really quickly as they're already up to challenge Kyle Lewis for the race lead. So it definitely did not take that outside lane long to get going here. As Himmelman's gonna nose in front as they head toward the start finish. But great push coming from his teammate Colin Ullery, your defending series champion here.
Yeah, and Ullery in that number 62 machine, going to drop down in front of Evan Gilbert in the number 28. There's Evan running right in front of John Canizaro, who's picked up 7 spots on lap number 1. Both Evan Gilbert and John Cannizzaro picking up 7 spots. That is immense on the first lap of the race. Meanwhile, your pole sitter, Kyle Lewis, is going to drop to the tail end of the field here. Probably a strategic move. We talked about how aggressive these drivers have been early in these National Sim Racing Association. Here comes Nathan Maurer. Maurer up the racetrack into his teammate, and it is a Simbox Motorsports trifecta here on lap number 2. Caution flag is out here. Let's see if we can see what happened here. But like I said, all of the Simbox trucks, I think, getting involved in this one. Nathan Maurer in the 971 machine, I think he's where it all started. Had Travis White in the 23 back behind him. Was there a nudge? Yes, there was. Travis White gets into the back of his teammate. Nathan Maurer goes down the racetrack, then Maurer goes straight up the racetrack, catches the 23 machine. Dalton Hayes, nowhere for him to go. William Kirwan getting into the wall, and then the other Simbox truck getting a piece of it. Zach Howell just getting tagged, and did he get into... Zach Howell, I think, clipping through the number 23 machine. And look at Kyle Lewis, your pole sitter there, having to lock it up to avoid any further contact. But we'll get another look at that one here on 3 Wide TV. Let's try and get another look at that. Here we go. This will work out. The 23 gets into the back of the 971 right there. 971 gets loose, comes up the racetrack. Boom, bang, boom. Just like that. And unfortunately, those drivers all with some pretty heavy damage. I think 4 or 5 trucks there with damage, including the 23 whose engine has grenaded. But, Mitchell, that's not the end of their race. That's the good news.
Yeah, no, these drivers here in this Superspeedway series presented by GTR Simulators do have fast repairs, so a lot of those drivers can go in and take that fast repair and get right back out. Hopefully they didn't have to tow, but I think everyone, from what I saw, was able to get going fine. As a lot of the leaders were only 4 laps into this race, but a lot of drivers choosing to come down pit road here, which kind of surprises me, Peter, as we're really in the early laps. I wouldn't expect this many drivers to be coming down for fuel or tires.
I mean, maybe it's right in that window, although you see a lot of these drivers taking tires. But maybe it's right in that window where they think that maybe they can make it to the end of the race from here. I don't know. I'm with you. It is kind of odd to see so many trucks come down pit road. We only had 7 drivers stay out. Himmelman, Ullery, Cannizzaro, Gilbert, Poole, Doble, and Doziak, the 7 trucks who stayed out. Everyone else coming down pit road, including William Kirwan Jr., who is had a little bit of damage on his number 52 truck. There he is. You can see that. Let's see if we can get a little bit of a pit road cam right there. We'll sacrifice the 3 Wide TV cameraman right there. Looks like we'll see if we throw one back behind the truck. All right, he's moving. So that's the good news. William Kirwan's getting back out there, but I wonder how much damage he did to the number 52. He's electing to save that fast repair, Mitchell, which can be also important later in the race if you get involved in a big accident.
Yeah, if he thinks he only took enough damage to where that truck will still be competitive, then I think it's a smart play, but really, with the iRacing damage model, it can be hard to tell sometimes whether your truck's going to be competitive or not. And sometimes a truck will sit fine when you're in the draft, but as soon as it kind of gets hung out of the draft, then it just goes right back. So it'll be definitely a truck to watch is that 52. But yeah, let's see. You said the top 7 stayed out, so obviously they think they're good to the end. So I'm guessing it was a tire play there at the beginning, but even more trucks headed down pit road now again. So, well, I don't know. Maybe it is fuel, as we see a lot of those same trucks, I think, that just pitted headed right back down the pit road.
Yeah, a little bit of a head scratcher. Stephen Doziak Jr. in the number 55 coming down pit road, so that only makes it the top 6 drivers. He was one of the 7 who stayed out the first time around. You see Garrett Gleason in the number 7, the bright orange machine, right-hand side of your screen. And then there's the rest of the trucks headed down pit road. How about 3 Wide on 3 Wide TV on pit road? I think that was Matthew Rodriguez back there in the middle of 3 Wide. He's got Steak and Shake on that number 57 machine. And we were talking about it prior to the race that, you know, we would probably go for a Steak and Shake right now. You can see the back of the number 57 Toyota Tundra. We're looking out the front end of Zach Howell's number 37 machine. We think he got some damage in that accident. We'll see whether or not he elected to use a fast repair. It looks like he did, because there was at least a little bit of damage on that number 37 when we saw it there on that 3-wide TV replay. But he's going to merge with the field in the 17th position. But hopefully the iRacing pace car lights are off. Sure does look like it here, Mitchell, because they're doubling up here for the restart.
Yeah, Andrew Himmelman, your leader here on this restart, electing to take the outside lane. Doesn't really surprise me because he has two teammates lined up there on the inside, and Colin O'Leary and John Cannizzaro. So watch for Himmelman to try and slide down in front of those two probably coming to this restart. As the iRacing pace car has pulled off of pit road, Himmelman with the early launch, getting the field back to racing. He's got Evan Gilbert on the top lane with him, but Himmelman able to slide down. Well, as I say that, JT Poole, a fantastic run coming up the inside lane into turn 1, able to take it 3 wide underneath John Cannizzaro, and he'll take the 3rd position into 1.
Yeah, and while we have this opportunity, folks, let's see if we can do a JKR Motorsports Crank It Up here at iRacing Superspeedway. All right, folks, welcome back to 3Y TV. Oh, they're still a little bit loud, aren't they? We'll turn down the trucks just a little bit. We are working lap number 9 now. Andrew Himmelman in the number 9 machine is your race leader. Big shout out to our friends over at JKR Motorsports for the Crank It Up that we have here on 3Y TV in the GTR Simulator Superspeedway series. It is Himmelman, Ullery, Gilbert, Cannizzaro, and John Doble, your top 5 as they run. You see the pack has broken up a little bit. We'll see if we can bring up the current track map down there, bottom right-hand corner of your screen. You can see 2 distinct packs plus the number 78 of Doug Neal. Neal was involved in that accident that brought out the first caution flag. He is currently being scored 1 lap down and is in danger of going 2 laps down if we don't get another caution flag here shortly, because this lead pack is absolutely charging, led by Andrew Himmelman and his teammate Colin Ullery right back behind him. Cannizzaro now up to 3rd. Connection issues there on Andrew Himmelman. He's back out there on the racetrack right now in the SimShot Chevy Silverado. Looks like we might have had another little hiccup with YouTube, but it looked like a very minor hiccup. So hopefully that was the case and everything is back smooth. But I'm not sure. Just something's up with YouTube tonight. You get those nights. JT Poole there running in 4th, Shane Terrian in 5th, Evan Gilbert back behind him in 6th, John Doble 7th, racing with William Kirwan. I think the good news for William Kirwan is it doesn't look like that damage is affecting the Folds of Honor 52 machine all too much here, Mitchell.
Now he seems to be doing fine, and I'm curious about Doug Neal, who fell off the pack. I wonder if he did the same thing that William Kirwan might have done and we just missed it. But yeah, William Kirwan, he threw the dice on it and saved that fast repair. Seems to be doing fine, so that's exactly what you want to see. Is really kind of gotten single filed out now, it seems like, for the most part, other than the front rows where JT Poole just made an aggressive move up the inside for the race lead. But they're going to be 3 wide into turn 1. Andrew Himmelman got stuck on the outside with no help, as there might have been contact maybe between the 62 and 28, maybe not, but they managed to keep it off of each other, keep the car straight, and JT Poole now going to slot into the race lead as things shuffled around a little bit up there at the front, and Himmelman now going to have to work from the 5th position, pushing Evan Gilbert to the front.
Yeah, and you can see that second group of trucks back there trying to close in on this front draft. The gap between Dalton Hayes in 11th and Robert Kenny is about 2 seconds, so we will see whether or not that gap goes around the 28 of Evan Gilbert going around, Shane Terrien going around, John Doble going around, the 23 caution flag has waved here, but my oh my, big damage on the number 28 machine. Let's see if we can figure out what all happened here. Working caution, second caution flag of the night. Here we go, coming out of turn number 3. Shane Terrien in the number 83 down below the yellow line a little bit. Evan Gilbert to the high line. And I think Andrew Himmelman came up right into the side of the 28, and it was on from there. We'll go up to the blimp cam. Terrien trying to save the 83. John Doble. William Kirwan again getting involved. Hopefully not all too much damage on the 52. Looks like he just kind of took a glancing blow to that number 52 machine. Again, we'll see whether or not he elects to use that fast repair this time or not. But Shane Terrien going around here on the front stretch. And whoa, back up into Robert Kenny. There's trucks there. Oof, man, that was tight. Could have been another accident after the main accident.
Yeah, some drivers getting a little bit luckier, being in the right spot to get around that wreck. Just kind of seemed like Andrew Himmelman ducked down to the inside, and kind of they checked up at the same time, and maybe thought he had too big a run and tried to get back to the outside, but Evan Gilbert was there. So yeah, not again, maybe 5 or 6 trucks is some of those guys on the top lane really cut it close getting around Shane Terrien and that 83. But yeah, another early wreck here. We're about, I think, 13 laps into this race now, so we've had some pretty good racing. But yeah, as we're going to ride on board, this will be a good shot here of one of these trucks scooting around the outside. Yeah, that's close, and that looks a lot closer when you're inside the truck behind the wheel too. So definitely some good driving by those guys, and just kind of being aware of the wrecks is, yeah, I think that 52 you talked about, he's well off the pace here as we see the rest of the leaders hit pit road. Looks like that 52 might have had the engine expire, so I think he'll be taking a fast repair here probably, Peter.
Well, it's either use the fast repair or sit on pit road for about 45 minutes. That's about how long it takes to get a engine repaired here in iRacing. Robert Kenny, first driver off pit road. JT Poole going to win the race off pit road. Now I'm hearing that Robert Kenny did not actually go into his pit box, so he might have missed his pit box here under this caution flag. So I think he will have to do another lap. So Poole, Ullery, Cannizzaro, Evan Gilbert use that fast repair. New Toyota Tundra for Evan Gilbert. So he will be still up inside the top 5, even though he was just involved in that accident. There's Mike Floppy Tellier there on the screen, the Canadian driver. Here tonight in the Heritage Ways Farms 165. Big shout out to Heritage Ways Farms for sponsoring tonight's race. 165 miles here around the iRacing Superspeedway. Definitely going to be interesting if the first 14 laps have anything to say here, Mitchell. A couple of big accidents here in the early going.
Yeah, there are some. We have seen some big wrecks, and just like we talked about, the aggression we've seen has kind of caused a few wrecks here. And I think hopefully as the race goes on, maybe guys will get more of a feel for the track and kind of where they can go. It's a big track, you just got to be able to use it all. And I did make a mistake. William Kirwan is rolling with a lot of damage, so I don't think he took a fast repair here. Just worth noting for the broadcast as we're looking up at the leaders of this race. It looks like JT Poole still has the race lead over Colin Ullery and John Cannizzaro. That wreck happened a little bit further up toward the front than the last one did, so there's more of a chance to take a few more trucks out. But again, we saw some great driving by Kyle Lewis to get around the last one, and more drivers there with some good driving to get around that one as the iRacing pace car lights have gone off. So we're looking at 1 to green here. Is JT Poole also going to take the outside lane here on this restart?
Yeah, so interesting to see with those drivers electing to use that high line. Kind of allows you to jump down in front of the low line if you get a good enough restart. And we saw, though, at the beginning of the race that high line was able to get wound up pretty quickly and really charge to the front with Andrew Himmelman there on the opening lap. In fact, Andrew Himmelman led the opening lap here in the Heritage Ways Farms 165. As all these drivers here coming down the backstretch trying to get formed up. Again, a couple of drivers here, Mitchell, kind of towards the back of the pack, coming down late onto pit road to either get damage repaired or top off with fuel. You see the 21, the 12, the 78 in that boat. William Kirwan back out there on the racetrack in the number 52. So we are right now, 41 laps away from the checkered flag. And some of these drivers, they got to be thinking about fuel with them coming down pit road every single lap to kind of top off.
Yeah, you got to think that we're only about 40 laps away, so definitely guys will be starting to think about, do I need to save fuel? Do I need to do other things to get to the end on fuel? As the pace car has pulled into pit road, and JT Poole getting a little bit of an early launch too, just like Andrew Himmelman did on the last restart. That should let him jump down to the inside as he's well clear of Colin Ullery. If he wanted to, Evan Gilbert also got a very good restart, but they don't really have any help on that high line, and JT Poole going to pull down into turn 1. That kind of leaves Evan Gilbert there on the outside lane all by himself as they head through turns 1 and 2 onto the backstretch here. This race really single-filed out quickly, or this restart did. We've seen a lot more 2x2 and side-by-side racing on these restarts. Drivers really got single-filed out as JT Poole already up to 223 miles an hour headed into that turn. There are no restrictor plates here. I know we talked about that. So these trucks go from making about 190 top speed to well over 200 miles an hour. JT's going to pull up the racetrack, give the lead to Colin Ullery now in the 62.
Yeah, so Ullery will take the race lead. Cannizzaro in second. Tellier going to move up to third. And just like that, JT Poole is falling through the field like a Irwin saw blade in a pool, dropping all the way to the back of the field here, all the way from the lead back to 11th, and he's continuing to fall through the field, maybe finally able to slot in with the low line behind the number 47 of Dalton Hayes. But meanwhile, up towards the front of the field, they're getting a little bit racy as they thought about 3 wide there for just a brief moment. John Cannizzaro on the number 74. We know he's not afraid to make a move in the 74 machine, Mitchell. We know that Cannizzaro, when he's not racing for points, he can be pretty aggressive here on these Superspeedway series.
Yeah, John, a lot of other drivers too up at the front. They all like to win, and we know John, we've seen him make some aggressive moves before. I feel like right now, though, he's hooked up with his teammate up front. He's probably going to move out of there as soon as I say it, but I would guess he's going to stick with Colin Ullery, at least for the time being. But yeah, a lot of other drivers going up to the outside lane. JT Poole already back up toward the front again as we're looking on board with Dalton Hayes, I believe, as he kind of dropped toward the back of the field there. Kind of drivers a little more spread out toward the back, you can see. That's why some drivers like to be back there in this stage of the race. Just it's a lot easier to stay out of trouble when there's not a lot of trucks around you and you have room to move around. And as you ride on board, you can kind of get a sense for just how fast these trucks going, as he's over 230 miles an hour headed into turn 1. So definitely just a different type of racetrack than anything these guys are used to here. So we ride on board with Shane Terrian now in the 83, a little bit more inside the pack, as he's also up around 230 miles an hour, and that's Matthew Rodriguez, who we're now on board with, dropping down to the inside. But you really have to get back up onto the racetrack here before you head into the turn, because it's really super banked. And yeah, there's another look at 3 wide, maybe 4 wide in some place. I think it's mostly 3 wide, but up in front of these drivers is Travis White. He's pushing Evan Gilbert, who has Andrew Himmelman in front of him, and you really can't see Himmelman, and that really kind of just shows the challenge, Peter, of these kind of racing where Himmelman way up the track, JT Poole going around, that's a caution. Drivers up into the wall, JT Poole all the way around onto the apron. 3rd yellow of the night, so we're going to take a look on the 3 wide TV replay of exactly what went down there.
Yeah, we have to get this one lined up for you folks. Here we go, slow motion. It all happened on the inside line. Andrew Himmelman goes up the racetrack. There might have been contact with him and John Cannizzaro, but JT Poole getting absolutely clobbered up there. Comes down the racetrack. Great avoidance there by the 7 of Garrett Gleason, but nowhere for the threat level midnight machines of Jeffrey Vickery to go. Ooh, almost taking out the 3 wide TV camera. But Jeffrey Vickery getting involved. I think the number 12 of Shane Ledoux was also involved. Let's see if we can get another look at this one here on the 3 wide TV replay redo. So what happened up at the front of the field with John Cannizzaro here? I guess we'll play at full speed with him and the number 8 machine. Yeah, just a little bit of contact, and then it was on from there a little bit further back in the pack. That's Matthew Rodriguez squeaking on through. Oof, almost contact back there. But, yeah, that was some pretty heavy damage, especially on the number 26 truck. I think if any truck is the worst off, it's probably that number 26 truck.
Yeah, he really went nose first right into the outside wall, and when you do that at over 200 miles an hour, that can do a lot of damage to the truck, as you can see him just kind of barely getting that thing going through the grass. Probably blew an engine, but I wouldn't be sure of that, but... So we're riding on board now, I believe, of one of those threat level midnight machines. I'm not quite sure, but you can see the wreck just in front of him up into the wall, and there's just nowhere to go. No, I don't think that's who it was, but yeah, just great wreck avoidance by whoever that was. Who was that we were riding on board with, Peter?
That was G-Money himself, Garrett Gleason, that we rode on board with there for that wreck avoidance. But all these drivers now coming down onto pit road, except for Mike Tellier and John Doble. Those are the 2 trucks that elect to stay out. Meanwhile, the rest of the field is coming down pit road, led by Colin Ullery, John Cannizzaro, Kyle Lewis, Evan Gilbert, Stephen Doziak Jr., Shane Terrian in this group, Robert Kenny, Garrett Gleason. Man, they're all coming down to their pit box. You see Kyle Lewis there in the number 18 machine. He has, of course, the very first pit stall with winning that BAM Auto Pole Award at the beginning of the night. You see the number 8 machine, Andrew Himmelman, just like that, using his faster pair here in the Heritage Ways Farms 165. Big shout out to Heritage Ways Farms for sponsoring the race here tonight in the National Sim Racing Association GTR Simulator Superspeedway Series. And folks, while you're here, while we're under the caution, why don't you check out the series-sponsored GTR Simulators, as well as look up Heritage Ways Farms under the caution flag. Check them out as well. And support the National Sim Racing Association sponsors, because without them, none of this is possible. The 3 wide TV broadcast is not possible. A lot of the money that goes into paying for these sessions is not possible without those series sponsors. So make sure you check them out here tonight and show them some love. I know I would love myself one of those GTR simulators, one of those sim rigs that they put out. Very, very cool product. I got my eyes on one of those at some point in my life. Maybe not right now. I just was able to literally today, able to set up a triple monitor mount. So I'm finally going somewhere in the sim racing community with adding on another little gadget and gizmo. But some of these people in the field here tonight, they have their own sim rigs. They have fancy steering wheels. I mean, thousands and thousands of dollars you can pump into this hobby, if you will. it is a hobby. Some people take it a little bit more serious than a hobby, I think. But Mitchell, it's great to have these sponsors on board. And we hope that the people watching the 3Wide TV broadcast not only like the video here tonight, subscribe to the channel, but while they're here, open up a new tab in your browser. We don't mind. Open up that browser. Go check out one of our sponsors.
Yeah, we can't say enough about how much these sponsors do for us here in sim racing. There's a lot more that goes into these kinds of things than can look like it on the surface. So definitely very grateful to GTR Heritage Ways Farms and all the other sponsors we have here in the NSRA Superspeedway series that help us put this show on. Yeah, Peter, it's been a good season too so far. So hopefully we can get some more sponsors interested. If you are watching and are interested, I'm sure you can contact the NSRA through Facebook and they can talk to you about it. But looking back out on track now, the pace car lights have gone off, and it's Mike Tellier that'll lead the field to green this time with John Doble on the outside row.
Yeah, Mike elected not to pit under this caution. He was last on pit road on lap number 13, so 10 laps ago for the Flat Out Racing Network, number 97, who is trying to lead us back to the green. Hopefully will lead us back to the green here this time, as long as those pace car lights do stay off as these drivers work their way through turn number 3 and 4. If you're wondering back at home what the pace speed is here tonight, well, it's a very quick 90 miles an hour. That's why we're clicking off these pace laps around this 3-mile racetrack pretty quickly, as you see Jeffrey Vickery, the number 21 machine, top right of your screen, hustling to get back to the pack, but he has quite a bit of damage. Green flag back in the air. Mike Tellier, Colin Ullery able to skip away from John Doble. Doble here, I expect to see him go down to the bottom. Indeed, he does, right in front of Kyle Lewis and Evan Gilbert. Now John Cannizzaro left all by his lonesome on the high line. As I say that, he drops down to the low line. So the low line here pretty much all formed up all the way until you get to the number 55 of Steven Doziak, who will probably duck in behind the number 57. Nope, he won't. He will pick up Garrett Gleason in the Thornton Grafix number 7 Chevy. So they will try to form that high line up, but it doesn't seem like it's working for them right now. But up at the front of the field, the high line. Whoa, Evan Gilbert, contact with Evan Gilbert and John Doble. Doble gets shot up the racetrack, but he saves it. Contact battling for third.
Yeah, and a bit of an aggressive move there from Evan Gilbert. Tried to make it 3 wide, and just John Doble kind of came down into him. Not sure he had time to react to Gilbert's move, but they kept it clean. Great driving from the driver of that number 3 truck. As Gilbert, though, now all alone there on that outside lane, he's just going to start slipping back until he gets some help, maybe from Matthew Rodriguez in that 57, but it's just, as somebody else looking up to the high line, is the 57 looking up above Evan Gilbert, which not really surprised to see when you have so much momentum. It goes, oh, I say that, the 57 and Matthew Rodriguez turned around, Evan Gilbert involved. That's another caution as they come back on the racetrack. JT Poole barely made it through that one as we're back under yellow once again.
Yep, caution flag is back out. Matthew Rodriguez, Evan Gilbert involved. Here we go, on board with Evan Gilbert. It looked like it all happened. Robert Kenny with a bad bump on Matthew Rodriguez, and all three of them go spinning down there onto the inside of the racetrack. Robert Kenny went up the racetrack, luckily not taking out anyone else. We're hearing that, here we go, on board here with Matthew Rodriguez. In fact, let's look out back. There's the bad bump there. He gets sent down into the infield, just spinning like a top, almost went on his side, and somehow, some way there, Mitchell, Evan Gilbert did not come up across the racetrack and take out a bunch of cars.
Yeah, a lot of great driving once again from the drivers around him. I know JT Poole just barely squeezed through on the inside lane, but yeah, very fortunate that we didn't see more cars than just that get collected, but that's just, this track can be more difficult to push on the most, and we see some bad pushes on like Daytona Talladega and other larger tracks, but this one especially, where the engines are unrestricted, it just becomes that much more difficult to give pushes, and you're just fractionally off where you need to be, and that can send that car in front of you spinning around. And unfortunately that's what we saw, and that's what's going to bring out this caution. And Yeah, hopefully, as we're riding on board with JT Poole, who had an amazing, not a save, but getting through here, just turned down low, just barely made it under that 28. Great driving from JT, who's already used his fast repair, so that kept him in the race, Peter.
Yeah, and not only did it keep him in the race, it also gave him an opportunity to pick up the JR's Mobile Detailing Lucky Dog Award under this caution flag. So give that to the number 26 machine right there. Meanwhile, a lot of your lead cars on pit road. Colin O'Leary led the charge down. He's going to win the race off pit road. Again, 2 drivers electing to stay out, Garrett Gleason and Stephen Doziak Jr. So the number 7 and the number 55 will be your front 2 cars when we go back green here in just a moment. But folks, make sure you check out JR's Mobile Detailing here on 3Y TV because, they have a link and they are also a series sponsor here and they like to give out the Lucky Dog Award, and I don't blame them. It's one of the cooler awards to give out, and there is your JR's Mobile Detailing Lucky Dog under this caution flag. We mentioned it. JT Poole coming down pit road. He's already used that fast repair, so he's got to be cautious here, but being back on the lead lap is going to be good news for your JT Poole fans.
Yeah, as he kind of slid through his pit box just a little bit there, not to call him out on it, but yeah, it's just great driving. If he'd been just a few feet higher, he might have been out of the race. So just great heads-up driving by JT to keep that truck clean, and a lot of other drivers were able to slip through that too, as I'm getting word now that Evan Gilbert in that 28 has taken his truck to the garage for night. So is Connor Drace. I'm probably pronouncing that name wrong, but those 2 drivers retiring after that incident. So unfortunately, we see both of them probably maybe use the fast repairs, and that's what can happen if you can't get through the wreck. As JT Poole now pulling back out onto the track, as it's one of my favorite paint schemes too in this, Peter. If I trip over my words a little bit more, but I really like JT's paint scheme here. Is we look back up front again, it will be Garrett Gleason leading the field back to green, with Stephen Doziak Jr. to his inside, and it's Colin O'Leary and John Cannizzaro who have kind of been starting there in similar positions the last few restarts, but the front row's kind of changed itself out here on the last few restarts.
Yeah, and it's really kind of a concoction of these drivers pitting and some drivers staying out. So with Gleason and Doziak leading us back to green, now those 2 are relatively close to one another as racing buddies go, and so I'm expecting them to be on the communications here on this restart. Gleason will lead us to the green flag, so he will be the control car, and I'm sure he will be letting Doziak know when he hits the loud pedal before they all get rolling, so they can both form up and start bump drafting as quick as they can. You see a couple of the other threat level midnight machines there way back at coming out of turn number 2. They came down pit road to get more damage repaired, that being both Shane Ledoux and Jeffrey Vickery in 18th and 19th position. Andrew Himmelman and the number 8 machine has taken his car to the garage. So it looks like the number 8 has succumbed to the damage here tonight. But we do have 2 drivers more than 1 lap down, both Evan Gilbert and JT Poole, still a lap down or more. So JT's going to need another one of those JR's Mobile Detailing Lucky Dog Awards to get back in the fray. I thought he was back on the lead lap, but I did my math wrong, and he's still 1 lap down. Garrett Gleason leads us back to the green flag, gets that good restart in the number 7 machine like we expected, jumps down in front of Stephen Doziak, but here comes the number 62 machine. Gonna line up there with his teammate John Cannizzaro. They're gonna try to get themselves up to the front, and that outside line is nicely formed up. Zach Howell, Mike Floppy-Telly are up there as well. We got 4 trucks on the inside, 4 trucks on the outside, Mitchell.
Yeah, the outside lane's been performing much better on restarts than I thought it would coming into tonight. Just gets the momentum going a lot quicker once we head down the back straightaway. As Colin Ellery, big push to his teammate John Cannizzaro. Oh, they tried to go down together, I think, maybe, and yeah, they'll sort themselves back in, but a little bit of tight racing there between those two, as that's going to allow Zach Howell with a push from Mike Tellier on the outside to go challenge for the lead as you ride on board with Garrett Gleason, who led going into that restart. He's already kind of around, I think, the 5th or 6th position, so that's just kind of how quickly things can change. That's what it looks like being out front, and that's probably where Zach Howell's liking to be. I say that, 3 wide, he got split. Mike Tellier goes to the outside, John Canizaro and Colin Ullery to the inside, and just like that, Zach Howell out of the lead. Give it back to John Canizaro down the back straightaway.
Yeah, Canizaro leads in the number 74 machine, the 62 Colin Ullery right back behind him, and then Shane Terrien in 3rd. Gleason's worked his way back up to 4th. Stephen Doziak in 5th. Zach Howell right there behind him as we are single file for the first 7 trucks right now. The 14 of Stephen Ford is your last single file truck. Then you got the lap car of JT Poole there battling with your BAM Auto Pole Award winner at the top of the night. That is Kyle Lewis right there. Has Flash on the number 18 Toyota Tundra. John Doble in the 3s right back behind him. But we have to remember that 26 truck of JT Poole, he is 1 lap behind your race leaders. But we have seen here this season, I don't think this is the first time we've actually seen JT Poole in the lead pack as a lap truck. I think we saw it a couple weeks back as well, Mitchell. And JT's one of those drivers. He likes to mix it up. He wants to get to the front. He wants to get his lap back the old-fashioned way, if you will, to be the first car in front of the leaders. But it's going to take him a little bit of time to get up there.
I think if memory serves me right, I know me and JT were both racing 1 lap down at Talladega up in the lead pack. So yeah, he's definitely not a driver afraid to mix it up with lead lap cars. And fortunately for him right now, he's the only car in the field that's still on the racetrack that's any laps down. So if we get a caution, unless he's involved in it, JT has the lucky dog coming. So I don't think he needs to race incredibly hard unless he's trying to maybe force a caution, which, you know, sounds really bad, but if things stay aggressive and he manages to get through it, then that'll definitely put him in a much better position. But I think more than that, this is a track as we see him go up the middle now, looking for some help probably, but he can get his way up into the front. It's just about, can he keep that car in front of the leaders to get his lap back, kind of the caution freeway, as he's going to get help from Zach Howell, who I believe might be a teammate. I'm not quite sure about that one. But yeah, so JT's trying, but that inside lane led by John Canizaro, Colin Ullery. Colin Ullery's kind of pushed himself away from Shane Terrien on the inside actually, and they're going to kind of fall into the clutches of JT Poole there on the outside lane. But it's kind of 2 car tandems up at the front between the front 4 cars.
Yeah, you can kind of see that right there, but they have to be really careful, Mitchell, because last week at Talladega we saw, I think, Andrew Himmelman, the number 8 machine, lose an engine trying to push a car right there at the end of the race. Very tightly packed they were, and I'm just wondering whether or not 62 Colin Ullery's looking down, looking at those gauges, wondering about his water temp, looking at his oil temp to make sure that that engine doesn't explode here, because again, the 62 all over the back of the number 74, bump drafting down the back straight.
Yeah, and I think going into this turn, you might see Colin Ullery kind of back off the bumper of that 74 and kind of look just a little bit higher, as he didn't really do it. So again, I say something expecting it to happen, then it doesn't really happen, but he's probably, I've raced with Colin and we've communicated a lot, and I know that he's probably very conscious of his gauges, but it can be really easy to just let that slip out of your mind, and the next thing you know, you're like, oh, well, I'm slowing up a ton, oh, I lost my engine. So yeah, it's something to definitely, he's got to keep his eye on. But I don't know if that camera shows when the gauge is blinking, but those oil and water temp gauges look fine from that camera, although I don't know if it shows the same thing. You might know that better than I do, Peter.
I don't believe it does, unfortunately. I think all those gauges kind of look fine until they aren't fine anymore. So, but we got a big gaggle right here as JT Poole has pole vaulted himself back onto the lead lap. But Doug Neal, the number 78 machine right here, 77 on the side, I believe Neal was a recipient earlier of a JR's Mobile Detailing Lucky Dog Award, and he's now worked his way back up to the front of the field with a little bit of help from Garrett Gleason in the number 7. So the 77 and the 7. 7s are wild here. They're wild as well at some casinos. But I'll tell you what, that outside line is starting to form up a little bit. But as I say that, the inside line got a big burst of speed as JT Poole went down there to block Zach Howell. Howell in that 37 is technically the race leader because we have to remember JT Poole, as of right now, is technically on the lead lap, but is, for all intensive purposes, 99.9% of one lap down. Up at the front of that group. Then behind Zach Howell is John Cannizzaro, Shane Terrian, and the number 97, the Canadian driver, Mike Floppy Tellier, who needs a good points night here tonight. William Kirwan in the number 52, he needs a good points night here tonight, up there towards the top of the point standings here in the National Sim Racing Association GTR Simulator Superspeedway Series, and has already used that one fast repair here tonight, Mitchell, so we know that he's probably going to play a little bit cautious here until we close into about 10 laps to go, which is quickly approaching now that we're in the second half of tonight's Heritage Ways Farms 165.
And we talk about drivers wanting to have good points night. Well, JT Poole, he actually just fell out of that position in front of the pack. He came into tonight as your points leader and is racing one lap down. So JT definitely, he's wanting to get that lap back because he's racing William Kirwan, who's in the 15th position right now, but he's definitely in that lead pack, and a lot of other drivers really close up there in the point standings. So JT really wants to turn this night around for himself if he wants to stay in the points. Is really kind of on the outside there. Nobody really helping him, as once again the SimShots racing teammates really get tandemed up together and manage to push themselves out in front of the pack.
And don't you just love this view of all these trucks racing on by around this entire racetrack? It's a huge facility, not a real facility. In fact, one of the now few fake racetracks in iRacing here. You got to look at the 3-mile, very highly banked iRacing Superspeedway as they whip their way around at 220 miles an hour here down the backstretch. You can see that group of cars all lined up nose to tail as the 62 of Colin Ullery gets pushed to the high line there. John Cannizzaro going to go to the lead, and we haven't really talked about it here tonight, but we saw it right there with the number 37 machine there, Mitchell. But sometimes you can go off into turn number 3 and even turn number 1, and all of a sudden your truck gets really tight and you wash up about a lane of the racetrack, and sometimes that causes trouble.
Yeah, really, there's a fine line when you're running down on that yellow line that just stuff can go really wrong really quick before you really even know that you're in a position. And when you're going 230 miles an hour, there's not a lot of time to react and change your lane. So definitely a treacherous racetrack as Zach Howell managed to get to the race lead. And once again, the SimShots racing teammates coming along, but I think we've talked about all night long, Peter, how just unique the racetrack is, and I think being that it isn't a real-life racetrack, which almost all the tracks on iRacing are, it provides more of a chance to do some fun things with the racetrack, and in the case of what you were talking about, some more challenges. So it's definitely a fun track, and usually produces some great racing now.
Looking out back of Colin Ullery's number 62 machine at the front end of John Cannizzaro. These two have been working together for quite some time now. That is Zach Howell in the all-white number 37. Back behind them, Howell maybe thinking of trying to duck out to the high line right there, but thinks better of it. You see the very patriotic helmet there of John Cannizzaro, red, white, and blue. It is 4th of July weekend this weekend, and of course all of us here at 3YTV want to wish you and your family a very happy, fun 4th of July. Stay safe if you're shooting off them fireworks, but put on a show for everyone in your neighborhood as well when doing so. But have a great weekend, folks. Gotta say, one of the best times of the year for sure, and probably the best time to be an American. As you see what we were talking about there just about a lap and a half to 2 laps ago, as you see both John Cannizzaro and Colin Ullery push up the racetrack as they go off in turn number 1.
Yeah, and this is one of the few super speedways where tire wear really does become a factor. Usually on iRacing, the tires on the super speedways, usually they wear off slower. You don't really feel the effects of it the way our tire model currently is, but here at iRacing Super Speedway, it is a little more noticeable than other tracks, and it's one of the few tracks you kind of see guys maybe choose to take 4 tires. Usually drivers will alternate your right side tires and your left side tires on pit stops, but I feel like more here at iRacing Super Speedway, more drivers want to switch them all out because of just how intense, you see it in the corner, how high that banking is that lets the cars carry that speed full throttle, but it really wears tires down a lot more than other tracks, even more than like Daytona and Talladega, which have very high banking. But yeah, it just over these long runs, which we're seeing here, is a handling challenge. But speaking of long runs, Peter, do you think that these drivers might have to come in and pit for some fuel soon?
The answer to that is yes, because we did see the number 7 of Garrett Gleason. It looks like John Doble in the number 3 is coming down pit road. There is John getting on the brakes right there, but we saw Garrett Gleason in the number 7. There he is right behind the blue number 47 machine of Dalton Hayes, but we also saw the number 55 of Steven Doziak come down pit road. There's Doze in the lead train of trucks. These drivers came down, or did not come down pit road under that caution flag that we had. So I think they last pitted on lap number 21, and all your leaders last pitted on lap number 26. So I think we're going to see our leaders on pit road here in probably about 5 or so laps, which would get them to, well, I was going to say just under 10 laps to go. I think their pit window is probably about 20 laps, so it could be this time where we see a bunch of trucks start to head down pit road. If it isn't this lap, it is definitely coming up very, very quickly here at iRacing Super Speedway.
Yeah, I mean, coming to this time will be 10 laps to go. I think you definitely have enough fuel to make it to the end and probably cover some Beer Street Journal last calls, I believe it is, in this series. So yeah, I really expect these leaders to come in really soon, and it's a very tricky pit entrance too, Peter, so just watch for the drivers really have to decelerate from 230 miles an hour down to, I think, 65 here. Yep, there go your leaders, Colin Ullery, John Cannizzaro, and a lot of others following as they make that very sharp transition down as Colin Ullery locking up the brakes. I wonder if he got that truck woed up in time, but a lot of your leaders came down together. It's kind of what you expect here at these tracks. So yeah, definitely the fuel window open and drivers coming in to get more fuel to go to the end.
Yeah, so we will have to find out whether or not any of those drivers got nabbed for speeding on pit road. Wouldn't be at all surprised if some of them did. Now, this is what's left of the lead pack right now. It is led by Mike Floppy Tellier, Shane Terrien, Zach Howell, JT Poole in this group as well. We also got, of course, Steven Doziak back there. Garrett Gleason's been able to catch up to this group of trucks as well. So that's good news for Garrett Gleason here, as it looks like JT Poole is peeling off and, ooh, trying to get it slowed down. I think he just did in time. Zach Howell, the 37, also getting it woed up. But green flag pit stops here at iRacing Super Speedway. You don't see them all too often, as that will give the race lead to the number 97 of Mike Floppy Tellier, Shane Terrien, Robert Kenny, Matthew Rodriguez, the top 4 yet to pit here at iRacing Super Speedway. You see Garrett Gleason and Steven Doziak Jr. Someone back there. Was that Shane Ledoux? Yes, it was. Ledoux hard into the inside wall. Just got a glimpse of the number 12 out of the corner of that last shot. Lost control of the truck coming out of turn number 2 on the flat. Will any of your leaders come down pit road? Yes, they will. And Shane Terrien and Robert Kenny, they have a moment. Looks like they're able to get it blowed up. But man, oh man, this was a busy lap.
Just great driving by those two. That's so difficult when two trucks make contact to keep them from spinning out. So great driving by Shane Terrien, I believe it was there, who got a hold of that truck, as I think most of your leaders have headed down pit road at this point. just riding on board with, I believe that's Steven Doziak down the backstretch. I think he's already made his pit stop. He's got Garrett Gleason pushing him, where you're riding on board with now, and then Dalton Hayes in the 47. Then right in front of them is Nate Maurer and Kyle Lewis. Peter, I'm looking at the results, and John Cannizzaro and Colin O'Leary, we talked about that pit entrance and wondering if they sped. They both find themselves one lap down now, well off those drivers who they pitted with you're looking at right now. So if I had to make my guess, I'd say both of them probably sped going down pit road.
Yeah, John Cannizzaro, JT Poole, both of those drivers had 48-second pit stops. That's 8 seconds longer than most of the other trucks out there. So very lengthy pit stops. Now, right now, your race leader is Mike Floppy Tellier. He's all by his lonesome up at the front of the field. Then Matthew Rodriguez is in second. Shane Terrien is in third. Zach Howell right there is in fourth. Robert Kinney is fifth. Then you have Kyle Lewis in this group of 5 trucks. I think the big question is going to be, can this group of 5 get lined up and close in on the trucks in front of them? They're not lined up right now. I think here, Mitchell, these 5 really need to think about what is going on here and how the trucks in front of them are not lined up. And as I say that, Steven Doziak Jr., he listens to the broadcast while he races. He says, you know what, Peter, I think that was a good idea. I'm just saying, I don't know. We usually just spitball up here in the 3-wide TV booth. But anyway, they're going to all get lined up together, those 4, to try and run down Robert Kenny right there, Shane Terrien. And this is a group of 5 now, as Zach Howell just got himself to the race lead with 7 laps to go.
And he's got JT Poole pushing him. Zach's really been helping JT all race long, so I would think if you're Zach Howell, you're hoping JT can kind of return the favor to you now with 6 laps to go. But now these leaders have also formed up, and I've got 5 or 6 trucks all bumper to bumper, so it's going to be a lot harder now than it was to run them down. And now as I say that, there comes Matthew Rodriguez and everybody else working around JT Poole and Zach Howell for the race lead. 3 trucks on 2, Peter. Those 3 trucks on top probably going to prevail here.
Yeah, and sure enough, they do. Rodriguez pushed to the front, Terry into second, Mike Floppy Tellier to third in the number 97. And look at that back group of trucks. They got formed up. They closed in. 5 laps to go here in the Heritage Ways Farms 165 on 3-wide TV, the GTR Simulator Superspeedway Series here in the National Sim Racing Association. It is going to be red hot all the way to the checkered flag here tonight. Stick with us on 3-wide TV as Shane Terrien right there behind Matthew Rodriguez. We know these 2 drivers work really well with one another here over the past couple of weeks. Same thing right there with the number 97 of Mike Floppy Tellier. You see a couple of drivers towards the back of this group, including Nathan Maurer and Dalton Hayes. They've kind of dropped off the lead train a little bit. You see maybe a little bit of left front damage on the 971 machine. I think Dalton Hayes also might have had a little bit of damage at some point in the race. I think he might have used his fast repair under the last caution, the last pit stop. Maybe not the caution flag, but the actual pit stop that they just made a couple laps ago. But 4 more laps to go, 12 miles around iRacing Superspeedway left here tonight.
And someone we also haven't talked about much since the green flag, Kyle Lewis, sitting in 5th right now behind JT Poole. He's just kind of, ever since he fell off that that first place where he started, just kind of slowly hanging in there and having a quiet night. But here with 4 laps to go, Lewis has worked his way back up into the field. As I say that, I jinxed him. There goes Kyle Lewis down into the infield wall. It's just turning around. Commentator's curse right there for Kyle Lewis is, I think he just got hit from behind by somebody. Maybe a bad push, as we'll quickly dial that up for you here. I believe it was Robert Kenny he had behind him, just accordioned up behind JT Poole, and just Kyle Lewis goes around. So, man, just as I said, he was having a great night there. He goes outside the top 10 now, but looking back up front at the race lead, we have 3 laps to go, and it is still Matthew Rodriguez out front, being pushed by Mike Floppy Tellier, then Zach Howell, JT Poole on the inside, Robert Kenny, Steven Doziak's that last car on the inside, and then up above him, I believe it was 3-wide, Garrett Gleason on the top of Shane Terrien. Looks like it might settle back down single file here, but coming to 2 laps to go, Peter, definitely not going to stay single file long.
That is for sure. There's the number 57, Matthew Rodriguez, coming down the front stretch. White flag, no, 2 laps ago, excuse me, not quite the white flag. I'm a lap ahead of myself. But Matthew Rodriguez goes across that line. Like you said, Mitchell, we expect to see it not be single file for too long. Shane Terrien going to duck to the inside of the number 55 of Steven Doziak Jr. He's now back up to 4th. JT Poole is an interloper there in the 4th truck in line. He is currently 1 lap down, trying to get a green-white checker so he can get the JR's Mobile Detailing Lucky Dog Award. It would be a big blow to him here in the point standings. He entered the night as the points leader, as you mentioned earlier on there, Mitchell. But it looks like unless we get a caution flag here in the run to the start-finish line, we will not have a Beer Street Journal last call here tonight.
No, it doesn't look like it's going to happen for JT Poole, but here we go. 1 lap to go as Zach Howell looked up into the high line, being pushed by JT Poole. Those two, again, working together a lot tonight, but they're going to have to tangle with 3 cars lined up bumper to bumper on the inside. Matthew Rodriguez still being pushed by Mike Floppy Tellier on the inside. That inside lane bumper to bumper down the back straightaway, but a huge run from Zach Howell being pushed by JT Poole. Zach Howell gonna nose in front into turn 3.
Yeah, that inside line was not formed up nice and neatly. I don't know what it was, but Mike Floppy Tellier, Matthew Rodriguez kind of came apart from one another halfway down the backstretch. Here's Rodriguez on the bottom. Terrien going to duck to the inside of Mike Floppy Tellier. Tellier looks high. Can he get a run? Here we come to the checkered flag. Tellier in the wall. It's going to be Rodriguez here as they wreck out back behind. Garrett Gleason's in the wall. Nathan Maurer in the 971 doing barrel rolls, and JT Poole doing spins, and oh my goodness, wrecking again at the start-finish line, but Rodriguez is the one who gets to go to victory lane and have the steak and shakes here at the end of the race. Let's see if we can get one more look of this replay here on 3-Wide TV. Let's see if we can get another little look at it. Rodriguez was in second. Coming out of turn number 4, looks to the inside of Zach Howell. No, Zach Howell went high to block, and that was just a bad call. Should have stayed down there in front of Rodriguez because Rodriguez got a big bump from the 83 machine and powered his way on to victory.
Yet another win for Matthew Rodriguez. I just looked at the stats, Peter. This was his 5th start tonight, and this will be his 3rd win. Those are insane numbers on Superspeedway. So another big congratulations goes out to the steak and shake and the shakes. Matthew Rodriguez takes home a win as he's getting a little help from Robert Kinney there in his burnout. That's a little bit of an unusual little addition to the end of race burnout, but definitely well deserved as there's Shane Terrien sitting there who finished in 2nd. As I think the engine just went for Matthew Rodriguez, possibly, so that might end the burnouts a little bit early, as I heard something go, but yeah, that I think is going to do it for the burnouts. And oh no, again, I'm once again wrong, folks. I do that a lot when it comes to engines tonight, Peter, but I think pretty shortly we're going to get some top 3 interviews lined up and get to speak to these drivers.
Yeah, let's see if we can dial up tonight's 3rd place finisher driver of the number 37 machine. Of course, tonight, that being Zach Howell. I'll see if we can get him up here into the 3-Wide TV booth for you folks. And I think we finally found him. Let's see if Mitchell can catch up with tonight's 3rd place finisher.
Zach Howell, this is Mitchell Adams in the 3-Wide TV booth. Do you have a copy? Try it again here. Zach Howell, this is Mitchell Adams in the 3-Wide TV booth. Do you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Waltz came really close here tonight at iRacing Superspeedway to getting the win. Couldn't quite get it done. Just what was going through your mind on that last lap of the race?
I just hoping I had enough. I didn't realize they were getting another run back on the bottom, but track's so wide. I guess I just lost momentum when I went to block the top. But it was fun. It was a close race.
Yeah, we saw a lot from you up at the front, working a lot with JT Pool. What was your strategy coming into this night's at a track that usually provides just some crazy racing?
Just hoping to finish. You know how it is. Usually you don't make it through the first track, but we got lucky and made it to the end.
Yeah, definitely a good drive from you here tonight, and I'm gonna take a quick look at the schedule, trying to find where we are next week so that I can ask you about that. It's going to be Daytona, back at Daytona for next week's race. What are your thoughts going back to Daytona?
The old one or the new one?
The new one.
Oh, I don't mind that one. It's pretty fun.
All right, but before we let you go here in the booth, anybody you want to shout out?
Oh, good old JT. He helped me a bunch tonight.
All right, thank you for stopping in with us, Zach, and congratulations on your third place finish. Have a good night.
Yep, y'all too.
All right.
Well, oops, sorry, Peter.
No, I was just going to say that's going to do it for tonight's third place finisher, driver of the number 37 machine, Zach Howell. Let's see if we can dial up driver of the number 83 machine here tonight. Shane Terrian just coming up one spot short. Shane, Peter Short, 3Y TV booth. You got a copy?
I got you.
Well, Shane, back up here in the 3Y TV booth. Seems like you're finding this place more often than not nowadays here. Definitely another good run in the number 83 truck here tonight. You know, iRacing Superspeedway, you have your ups here, you have your downs here, but tonight you end on an up. Tell us about your night.
Well, I've never touched this track until, today. So didn't know what I was going to expect. So that was awesome. That was fun. These things, there's so much room here. You go so fast. It's insane.
Yeah, no restrictor plates, man. No tapered spacers, none of that garbage. You take all that up and 225 miles an hour off into turn number one. It is a little bit hairy here, to say the least, but I'm sure it was a lot of fun. Did you have fun out there in the number 83 truck here tonight?
I did. I had a lot of fun. I already got the win, so I was just being aggressive. I got some damage, got wrecked early, but I mean, I had a great time. I'm glad I got help Matt get the win. I pushed him to the win. Unlike Daytona, I wrecked him into the win, but I pushed him to the win. I was going to go below him, but he was in my Discord. I knew he was going to go and try and block me, so I let off and got behind him and pushed him. So it's awesome. He's won again. It's 3 wins for him. And he actually called it like midway through the race. He was like, "You're probably going to finish second again. You got second and first. You're going to finish second again." I was like, "Nah, that's not going to happen." Then I finished second, so I'll take it. This was fun.
Yeah, definitely looked like a lot of fun out there. Tell us about that last run there, that long green flag run, green flag pit stops. I mean, we had quite a few cautions early, but then it cleared up. We went green for near on 30 laps. How was that? Were you expecting that?
I was not expecting that. I had damage, so I couldn't do anything. So I was just in the pack, hugging the bottom, and then when we pit, luckily I didn't run out of gas. I couldn't pit the lap before I pit, because I had a car below me, and I had about 0.1 in the tank when I got to my pit box. So unfortunately that worked out, and I got to use my fast repair, and then it was just, push Tellier and Matt to stay out front. And then unfortunately I lost the pack a little bit, got back, and finished second. It was awesome. I was not expecting the long green flag run, and I'm glad it happened.
Yeah, definitely looked like a lot of fun out there. Next week, we go to Daytona International Speedway. Here in the Super Speedway Series, there's not a whole lot of track variety here on the Super Speedways, but back to Daytona. What are your thoughts about Daytona relative to Talladega, iRacing Super Speedway, and, of course, Monza?
I love Daytona. It's a lot harder to go 3 wide. And seeing how these guys have been the Super Speedways, and pushing aggressively and washing up the track. I don't know. I mean, I'm definitely going to try going 3 wide. It's what I do there, but I don't know. I love it, but if I can't go 3 wide, it's going to be kind of hard to win. So hopefully we can stay clean, stay in the line, and hopefully have some 3 wide racing.
Absolutely. Well, before we let you go, Shane, anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I'm going to shout out the league for letting me in. This has been awesome. I was kind of skeptical on a Super Speedway series, but this has been awesome. Congrats to Matt to winning, you guys for broadcasting, and then my sponsors, Evil Controllers. It's a fun day.
Absolutely. Well, Shane, we'll talk to you soon. Best of luck and have a good 4th of July weekend.
Yeah, thank you. You too.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for tonight's second place finisher. And I believe that Mr. Mitchell Adams has caught up with tonight's race winner for the 3rd time this season, Matthew Rodriguez.
Yeah, back in victory lane here again at iRacing Superspeedway with Matthew Rodriguez. What do you think about this race? Back in victory lane once again here in the GTR Simulator Superspeedway series.
I don't even know how I did this one. I figured the Daytona one was more impractical, but this one was, I don't know how. I mean, I made a deal with Tellier coming to the final lap and saying like, hey, are you with me to the end? He said, yeah, I'm with you to the end. We get to turn 3 and obviously 37 pulls down. He's like, every man for himself. And he pulls out in 4 like, great. And I see Shane, my shining light, and he just gave me a shot. And I can't believe I beat him to the line.
It was definitely an exciting finish for us to watch up here in the booth as I trip over my words a little bit. But how'd you enjoy the racing tonight? Have you ran here at iRacing Superspeedway much before?
I've only ran here once before on iRacing. That was, I'm trying to think. That was, I think, TNR on Monday a few weeks back, and that was a giant wreck for the lead. And then any previous experience was in NR 2003 when this thing was Coca-Cola.
Yeah, well, it's definitely one of the more exciting tracks we have. Speaking of tracks, as I make a clean segue now, next week we're going back to the Daytona, not the bumpy scan, but the regular modern or new scan, excuse me. What are your thoughts going back to Daytona?
I've been joked about being called a Daytona ringer, but honestly, I don't know how I keep getting these Daytona victories. The last one was improbable. The only way I can top the last one if I finish flying through the air. So hopefully I don't hit that one next, but I'm just looking for a good run because I just looked at the points. I am 5 points out of the lead. I am hyped.
Hey, you're definitely moving up very quickly. Congratulations on yet another win. 3 wins and 5 starts. Very impressive, but maybe we'll get to talk to you again next week in Daytona.
Absolutely. I'm going to try to make it.
All right, and before I let you go, do you have any shout-outs here on 3Y TV?
Definitely like to give a shout out to both Mike Tellier, Shane Therian for not just demolishing me and just not pulling out from under me and just trying to beat me. Steak and Shake, half price milkshakes, happy hour, 10 out of 10. 3Y TV, awesome guys. I absolutely adore going back and just listening to your guys' reaction to my paint scheme. So it's absolutely awesome.
Hey, you're going to have to start bringing, if you win these races and you keep winning, you're going to have to start bringing us some of those milkshakes, okay? All right, you can continue now.
Yeah, because like every time I win one of these races, I just go to Steak and Shake and just go buy a shake. So, I mean, at this point, I really need to start exercising or I'm going to start packing on the pounds. So probably look to see a workout equipment sponsor on my car soon. But no, I mean, 10 out of 10. Everyone from Radius, all of their related sponsors. And you guys are awesome. Absolutely enjoy. I can't wait to watch this one back.
Well, thank you for stopping in and talking with us, and go enjoy yourself some shakes. Congratulations on another win.
Oh, thank you very much.
All right.
Sorry, Mitchell. I was just going to say, I think we're going to have to ask, so what Steak and Shake do you get, Matthew? That is the question everyone in the chat wants to know.
All right, so it's a little bit different. Typically, if I'm feeling a little bit vanilla, I end up going for chocolate. Being a good old chocolate shake never lets you down. Now, the Oreo shake, that's a little bit of an entertaining kind of value. If you're feeling a little bit kind of adventurous, go for Reese's. The Reese's are kind of a little bit more chunky, and I don't like the frozen bits of Reese's, but it does taste nice every now and then. But it'll probably be chocolate tonight. I'm feeling it.
See, I had said before the race we were talking about the shakes. I like that dark chocolate shake at Steak and Shake. So
actually, I've not tried that dark chocolate shake. I may give that one a shot.
Sounds really good. You've got the little $5 courtesy of Kirwan Racing. Go try yourself a dark chocolate shake out.
Oh, I got to feed my family, so that all will go into the fund.
Yeah, of course. William Kirwan and Williams giving out the Kirwan Racing prize as well after each and every one of these races here on 3Y TV. Got to give him a shout out as well. Well, Matthew, congratulations on yet another win, and who knows, we might talk to you in Victory Lane at Daytona. Best of luck next week.
Absolutely. I got to give a thank you to William Kirwan for allowing me to steal his money. I think he told me I'm capped after this, so I don't think I can get anything else.
Well, yeah, that number you're gonna have to start pushing the number 52 to the win. You have to remember that. But gotta say, definitely pretty interesting with William Kirwan in the field, giving out a little bit of his cash here to the winner, courtesy of Kirwan Racing. But Matthew, like I said, best of luck next week.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you very much.
All right, well, that's going to do it for our post-race interviews here tonight at iRacing Superspeedway. So let's see if we can bring up here tonight our, of course, final race results coming up here on the screen in 5, 4, 3, 2, boom. A little bit of a delay on that. Taking home the win, Matthew Rodriguez. Shane Terrien in second. Zach Howell coming home in third. Mike Floppy Tellier in fourth. Steven Doziak Jr. in fifth. Great run for him. Garrett Gleason in sixth. Great pit stop there for Doziak and Gleason, able to put them in position for top fives. Nathan Maurer in seventh. Dalton Hayes in eighth. Robert Kenny coming home in ninth. And rounding out your top 10 there, Mitchell, is Jeffrey Vickery.
And in 11th place is Stephen Ford. William Kirwan ended up 12th. Travis White will be 13th. John Doble 14th. The SimShots teammates Colin Olery and John Canizaro, after some late race speeding penalties, 15th and 16th, as well as JT Poole, who ended up finishing the race, your first car, one lap down, in 17th. Kyle Lewis ended up 18th after what seemed to be a great run for him. Shane Ledoux 19th. Doug Neal 20th, and then rounding out your field were Evan Gilbert and Andrew Himmelman, who didn't finish the race.
Yeah, both of those drivers, the only drivers not to finish here tonight in the GTR Simulator Superspeedway Series here on 3Y TV. No race tomorrow night in the National Sim Racing Association Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series, as here in the United States we get to celebrate 4th of July weekend. In fact, the next race, I think, on 3Y TV, period, will be next week's GTR Simulator Superspeedway race at Daytona International Speedway, so you will want to join in for that one. Big shout out to tonight's race sponsor, Heritage Waste Farms, for sponsoring the 165-mile event here tonight at iRacing Superspeedway, as well as GTR Simulators. Make sure you check them out. Link is in the description, as always. But for myself, Peter Short, Mitchell Adams, and everyone else as part of the 3Y TV family, have a great 4th of July weekend, and stay safe here over the next couple of weeks. Folks, have a good night. We shall see ya!